Mr. Rohit Mishra on Apex risk cover insurance. Just now, Dr. Ashok Shukla was telling that you have to take indemnity policy and get relaxed and do your practice. So we'll be calling sir for the first lecture to chair the session. I will request Dr. Chandrasekhar Karve to come on the dais. And Dr. Vaijayanti Patwardhan, I think she's coming. She's there. Also there. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Chandrasekhar Karve is a physician practicing for last 33 years. And he's doing hospital administration since 28 years. And recently he has completed LLB. Dr. Vaijayanti Patwardhan, she's a consulting gynecologist and public health researcher. She's a member of MTP committee, Pune district and corporation. And she's a past president of IMA Pune and chairman, Women Doctors Wing, IMA Maharashtra. And she's a medical and social writer. So without wasting time, I will request Mr. Rakesh Sharma. Sir, I will introduce you. So, just few lines about Mr. Rakesh Mishra. He's a very dynamic, cooperative, and helpful with good presentation qualities. He's a general manager of Apex Insurance. Actually, his station is in Bangalore, but he has come all the way from Bangalore for this our session. He is in charge of several states: Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra. Yeah. So yes. So over to Mr. Rakesh Sharma, Rakesh Mishra. Why Rohit, sir?
No problem,
so many.
Okay.
So you are the.
It's okay, madam. No problem. Yeah, that ad is there. That one.
हम आपकी विशेषज्ञता का सम्मान करते हैं। आपका योगदान समाज के लिए उल्लेखनीय है। आपके आगमन का हृदय से आभार। हमारी शुभकामनाएं स्वीकार करें।
Next second one. थोड़ी देर के बाद. Thank you so much, Meenakshi Deshpande ma'am, IMA Pune, on all the delegates. In fact, as ma'am told that I am on now stationed to Bangalore, but Pune and IMA Pune and few people in Pune, they are associated with us right away from the inception of the company, from before, I think it is 21 years now working in Indian market. And I am Rohit Mishra. I am the general manager of Apex Group of Companies. And this is my 17th year working with this organization. The thing is this, why I feel fortunate, in fact, that two of the key person from your branch is associated from Apex from last more than 17 years. That is Dr. Jayant Navrange sir, Behere sir. They are the people who understands the concept, who understood the concept. In fact, what happens exactly whenever you come with any concept in the market? Look, from morning onwards, you all are viewing, have attended different types of presentations and are undoubtedly very informative presentations. But what I have marked in that, and every presentation, everybody has mentioned one last line, that indemnity coverage should be there. Indemnity coverage should be there. So indemnity, and its history is from last 1954. But when it comes exactly about the use for medical fraternity, when the Honorable Judiciary has given this judgment that doctors will come under the purview of consumers now. So after that, this indemnity started becoming very much popular amongst medical fraternity. But yes, quite a matter of fact, I know some of the places still in Karnataka or somewhere in Maharashtra also, where whole town or whole city is not having indemnity policy still today, but no problem. So these things are there. So when we came to know about the concept that how it can be presented, how a doctor can use the indemnity policy and their services, So whenever you come with new accept to accept it in the market, everything is hypothetical. I am just telling the story. We were telling the story that these two people, Naurange sir, Bere sir, and all, they came forward with us. They understood the concept. They forecasted it. And I think, I don't know, even I don't remember also how many villages nearby to periphery of Pune, Maharashtra. Sir has traveled with me by road where we had presented to various associations and all, just to make people feel the use of indemnity and how to take benefits from the indemnity. So I have just precise, I know that it is post-lunch session is very challenging session for a couple of hours after having a delicious lunch, and raining is there outside, and Sunday is there. So hardly you get one day off, and secondly afternoon and after lunch. So it is really very tough for me. I will try to make it up. I am having 30 minutes ka presentation, precisely 15 minutes. I am just showing a video to you all. It's a story. It's a journey of Apex till date in the in just presentation of our code, our director of the company. And after that, a 15 minutes ka flash presentation where I will explain you the role of indemnity and legal services with indemnity in hospital sense and individual sense. And after that, I'll sum up with my presentation and all. Sir, can you help me with online has been added? Second one, sir. So just I will request to just view this. We had prepared our journey and we had struggled a lot and still struggling, but just I have tried to make it something informative for you. Just go through it. Thank you so much. Let's go off cut this mic. वाला बंद होगा तो चलेगा चल चल
Crisis management is not only important but a necessity for everyone. Maybe it is a private sector, for-profit companies or non-profit groups. There is always a risk of losing customers' credibility and goodwill. Without risk management and without a plan to accomplish necessary goals, crises grow and relationships are damaged in the long term, short term, or both. And remember, no organization and professional is immune. The future is, of course, here. We live more every day in a global society that is increasingly held together by a complex system of linked and rapid communication.
Year 2000-2001, modern India was eagerly waiting to shine with many new revolutions in industries, roadways, healthcare, and human well-being. Professionals were busy exploring new heights, but a few sectors like the Indian healthcare system needed some revolutionary changes. More patient-friendly facilities, more attention towards medical professionals willing to contribute through private practice and affordable facilities. The problem was regulating patient-friendly laws, but at the same time, not hurting medical professionals who were involved in ethical practice. However, between all these, it was observed that all this is not going to be smooth sailing.
A lot of unpleasant things can happen to a company, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Unexpected things can always happen, and it may result in a big loss and even in a massive unhappiness. The idea to prepare a professional to deal with the crisis through meticulous preparation and an executable plan brought the complete risk management business in India named Apex. The choice to work for the medical fraternity came with the fact that this is probably the single profession which has a big communication gap, and there are ever increasing numbers of people who believe that healthcare professionals, especially those who are in a private practice and big corporate hospitals, don't give a damn to them.
More modern treatment and facilities were bringing in more expensive options. But India was not ready for a revolution so soon. There was a need of expert care for healthcare professionals, and so was the hope for an innovative industry in risk management.
Today, anything big or small which have an impact on human or social life, the world media knows about it with a lightning speed. The world learns about the incident only minutes later. And remember, both the media and the public will be impatiently waiting for accurate information, including explanation for the event immediately. When something goes wrong, no matter who is at fault and regardless of the reasons, someone must tell the story as quickly as possible. The spin in the story, which put the organization look good, is acceptable, but there should not be the lies and deliberate distortions because a mistake made deliberately come back to haunt the organization later.
Apex was formed under the Indian Companies Act 1956 with a pure intent and purpose of helping Indian medical professionals, bringing in all the needed revolution for the welfare of mankind without fearing the complications of law and the legal system. It was the toughest choice for Apex because in this country, 90% of the population doesn't know anything about medical complications and effectiveness. And the same quantum of medical professionals are not even ready to open up to new changes.
Risk management is an art, a science, a law, and an expertise which is shaping the finest creative and business movements of the world. There will always be plane crashes, train wrecks, fires, explosions, negligence, deaths, financial scandals, and a whole bunch of other miserable events that will bring massive unhappiness to the professionals.
There was confusion, but Apex was seeing a bigger picture. The medical industry was bound to grow, and so were the professionals associated with it. It was a clear decision to give medical professionals a big platform to perform, simply assuring them of a risk-free tomorrow.
The good news is that more and more professionals, organizations, and people are preparing to deal with the crisis through the preparation of plans. Apex is India's first and probably the only company to start the risk management industry in India with all the needed expertise, plan, and purpose.
We started analyzing all the prevailing situations of healthcare and conditions of medical professionals around the nation. In a country where we are born with risk-taking abilities, it is really hard to plan for risk management. It was a roller coaster ride for Apex, as majority of professionals at the time were not even ready to visualize that they may land in deep trouble if something wrong happened.
In our 20 years of operation, we have seen that sometimes, despite a doctor's experience and obvious skill in communication and treatment, the ball gets dropped on the goal line when it comes to a crisis. Apex is the first organized effort that brought the crisis management possibility in India and probably will remain the biggest risk management movement of its kind in the world.
The acts and laws were already in force, but since the number of cases against medical professionals were rarely reported, it boosted the confidence amongst the majority of doctors that nothing much is going to happen against them. There were two main rescuers in their mind: the indemnity insurance by an insurance company, and secondly, God. But we kept fighting because it was in the interest of medical professionals.
From a well-organized planning team to professionally access the scope of the problem to developing a spontaneous plan, testing the plan, and keeping the plan up to date, we have full expert command on each and every step. It's really a matter of pride and satisfaction that Apex is always ready for its member in any event of a crisis that they may face, whether it is predictable or unimaginable. Our contingency planning is always in place.
Ignorance cannot be taken as bliss, and this fact has to be communicated. We took this on as our prime task and started arranging meetings of small to moderate groups of doctors and hospital owners. We met insurance experts and managers to explore the world of professional indemnity, only to come to the conclusion that it was not at all a complete solution to the ever-growing problems of a doctor. This was the time of deep research and experiments, so that a strong shield of risk management can be created. We went across to a few professionals in the meantime and heard that they had a degree of law apart from their medical degree, a doctor with law, and we restarted our complete risk management plan with a new thought process. Probably this was the solution we were looking for.
We, with our unique expertise, are working in more than 26 states and have a great track record of carrying out some effective crisis management operations in the medical sector. Our efforts and story are instrumental in acquiring the proper risk management teams in many medical associations across the country. Our service offers to cover each and every crisis of a doctor, from professional to personal, and is one of its kind initiative in the world.
This was the time when our efforts to address and resolve legal issues faced by the medical fraternity was in full swing. We saw the scenario of the doctor-patient relationship change very fast. Any death or severe injury pertaining to medical treatment or procedure landed physicians in the court of law, both civil and criminal. We were happy for those who had taken our complete coverage, and for them we stood with full professional expertise and safety.
For Apex and doctors, the bond of priceless services began 20 years before, and over the years, the relationship has continued to deepen. Apex does anything and everything in legal for doctors. We have been solely responsible for all the investments, improvements, and success of AICL. Right now, we have more than 2.5 lakhs active database and working engagements of doctors and hospitals in India. Our increasing client base and net worth show that we have a wonderful future in transforming this business to the next level.
The cases were rising, and so was the confusion amongst those who were completely relying on the professional indemnity of an insurance company. There was this limited coverage policy on one hand, and a number of acts and laws by the government on the other hand. The issues involving doctors were so complicated that the courts needed the practical assistance from the bar to explain the complexities of the procedures undertaken. And we were being proven right. To understand a doctor's complexities requires a very knowledgeable person who should be a learned person both in medicine and the law. Our push for medical legal specialty became an instant hit. From then on to date, we are responsible to bring the best experts in the medical legal field. And ironically, the majority of the actually practicing medical legal experts from different parts of the country are associated with Apex. Our efforts and story were instrumental in acquiring proper risk management teams in many medical associations across the country. Although we never stopped at one solution, we kept reinventing new dimensions. Our service offer to cover each and every crisis of a doctor, from professional to personal, was one such brave initiative. We gave indemnity a new definition and dimension. Insurance cannot help a company avoid crashes, but it can help it avoid some or all of the negative financial consequences. We realize that if worked upon wisely, we can give even an insurance company a good viability. Unfortunately, in those days, insurance officials were just scared of selling with an open mind and were having apprehensions of landing into unnecessary liabilities. By that time, we were a single corporate agent for an insurance company, and were selling only one product along with our risk management coverage. We shattered the myth of loss and liability as we sold approximately 15,000 policies with less than 2% of matters arriving in court. And even in that, most of them got rejected by the court due to our effective expert defense.
Every day we change our perspective for the better. Our social responsibility initiative is such a bold and important effort. For years, we are picking underprivileged individuals from rural areas and train them for some important profiles of our team. We enable them to lead and live better despite their circumstances. Most of these individuals are now amazing business builders. In a very true and honest sense, we are really living the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India.
We had almost covered the entire North India and had ventured into the South. By this time, we were experiencing many service issues and challenges of our members. It was a great boom time in terms of experience, learning, and earning. Every day, our helplines were getting 10 to 15 service calls, even from those who were not our members. This was a big boost to our initiative. Placing a business of more than 1.5 crore rupees to our primary insurers, selling only one product, was an amazing experience. We were growing as an effective risk management organization, as well as the most viable and profitable partner for our primary insurer. Apex today has membership base in 26 states, with offices in all major metros, has 1 lakh doctors and hospitals as members, with more than a 90% renewal ratio, has effective data for 2.5 lakh doctors whom we've worked with and who are in touch with us through different promotional programs. a dedicated back support software which does almost everything at a single click. 24/7 working and service backup through our own dedicated call center in Mumbai. For us, our members are our top priority. We help them in executing their professional commitments without fear. With more than 1,000 professionals deployed to serve them in crisis, we are the world's top group in risk management.
We are the story of maximum with a grand future. Maximum awareness program, maximum case winning, maximum satisfied doctors, maximum testimonials, and maximum globally acclaimed experts. We have won more than 10 national and international recognition awards for the service of medical fraternity. And even Forbes mentioned us in their story of an innovative service organization. Apex does anything and everything for the doctors, and with this statement, we are looking forward to creating deeper meaning, a profitable venture, and a stronger partnership with building better brand value and take Apex to the next level.
Others provide illogical promises and discounts. We have dedicated experts that help our members at each step of their crisis and a logical infrastructure for their assurance and safety. Our so-called competitors sell an insurance policy with a promise that insurance will help them in crisis. We sell our membership with a written guarantee that we will help our members in anything and everything. There is a feeling our members get when they know their risk managers and experts. They are assured of assistance wherever they go. We are all about your respect. Respect of freeing you from all worries. Respect of making everything easy and convenient for you. Respect of keeping you safe from all the odds and the laws. Apex Insurance Consultant Limited. Original, capable, reasonable.
Thank you so much, audience, for just giving respect to my video for viewing this thing. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. In fact, the motto behind this to show you these videos is only single thing, that indemnity policy is there in the market, but in actual sense, when it comes for the use, so maximum of time it has been seen that it is again means for the compensation part only. When exactly it comes for the legalities, somebody should be there who should intervene into the matter, who should stand beside the doctor, who should understand, who should prepare the papers, because insurance companies are there, but they don't have that infrastructure available which can provide after speedy after sales service. So this basically, due to this problem, what happens exactly, we have indemnity policy, but we never study the clauses written into that policy, which is written in thin line. In fact, don't take me otherwise. In fact, this is my practice also. Whenever we purchase any insurance, we used to sign the documents, pay the premium, and it is there in the file. When we see that when it will come to us, then we will be seeing that policy, that how I can use it. So these things are there. Very shortly, can you help me with, sir? Excuse me. My one flash presentation is there, sir. Let them go. I'll explain accordingly. I need this one. That's it. But this is good. Let it on. Right. So that will go beyond just background in that you can view that. In fact, my motive is that the Apex, I'm just explaining the services which we are providing, to be very precise at all, because I think we are already late with the schedule. So I'll try to sum up ASAP. So what exactly we are offering here? Apex is a risk management company registered under Companies Act 1956. We are risk management company, and we are having tie-up with insurance companies. Second point, we are providing legal services and indemnity policies along with that. Indemnity was having its clause that they are going to fight your cases for civil and consumers, but we had removed these parameters, and what we are saying, a doctor who is member of Apex is entitled to talk to us for any of the legality, any of the matter. Let it be consumer, civil, criminal court, MMC, anywhere it is. We are here to give you support, legal support and everything from the company side. Means what? That if you are the member of the company, means company will provide lawyer. Charges of the lawyer would be paid by company. We will be doing liaison. Liaison is a very big word for us. Liaison means collecting paper from your doorstep, preparing those paper according to the complaint filed, because we never know that which patient is going to file a complaint against us. So what happens exactly if suppose any ABC patient has filed a complaint? So it is mandatory for us to see the records, what has been maintained to your place and what exactly is there into that and what complaint he has filed. So it should match. Whatever the answer I have to make, it should support with the document also. So do collect that documents. And for these things only, we do have kept all these experts associated with the companies, like who are medical legal experts, who are doctors also and lawyers also, because it is quite evident that 80% of the population doesn't understand the technicalities of medical science, because they are not aware about. Even the judiciary where they are, who are going to listen to them, they are also sometimes not aware about the medical facts and all. So it is better needed that somebody should intervene into the matter, who should prepare. So we collect the papers and it is made by medical legal expert, and lawyer used to fight that case till Supreme Court. Whatever the expenses is there in between, that all would be borne by company. Third thing, we should be always ready for the worst. Lastly, but if suppose we see that if any compensation needs to be paid, let me remind you the indemnity policy and their clause says that if any compensation is awarded against you, that compensation needs to be paid by the doctor first, and you have to get it reimbursed from that insurance company. So this part also we have removed. What we are saying that we are making it cashless for you. Means problem came, I have arranged lawyer, I have paid to the lawyer, I am doing liaison. Plus, if suppose we lose and if any compensation needs to be paid, that compensation would be paid by company from your behalf, and it is our look after to get it reimbursed from the insurance company. Number one. This is for a doctor individually who is covered with us, is covered pan India wherever he or she practices. As because you know that these days in new Consumer Protection Act, now patient is allowed to file case against a doctor in anywhere in any part of India. Might be his jurisdiction not be there, but if he is coming from Delhi and if he's filing a case against you in Delhi, it is you who have to defend. So as we do have the infrastructure, so we do abide you that there also we are going to look after your matter, and the proper defense would be provided by the company to you. One thing. Apart of this, we have just extended our services. Means patient doctor is there. Whatever is there, we are seeing. I have told you that consumer, criminal, everything I am going to look into this. A part of this, we are also promising, as we are the risk management company, so we will be responsible to provide you personal services also. Personal service means it should not be related to your medical field, but medical fraternity. It can be land property dispute. It can anything where there are so many things which comes in the life where we need a lawyer. Sometime my doctor used to call me for that, Rohit, I am purchasing one place out there. I wanted somebody should check it out and should I invest it or not? There are, as I am just giving an example, there are so many things which comes. So what we are told that for your all the legal solutions, Apex is there to provide all the services under one umbrella. One thing. This is for the individual part. Second number of membership which we are providing is to hospital setup. Hospital setup, again, it's a group of people working under one floor, and where maximum responsibility lies on the captain of the ship as the owner of the hospital. Might be there are in Pune or Maharashtra or anywhere, hospitals are of various shapes and sizes. As you all were discussing about that 10-bedded hospital, ICU should be there or not. All the rules and regulations will go away. But you have to think also that parallelly your legalities also will go through. So in any shape and size of the hospital there, we are providing full security to the hospital again. Hospital coverages means if any hospital is there, we are covering whole hospital, under which we are covering to the proprietor of the hospital. Secondly, proprietor, owner, director of the hospital. Secondly, as Naurange sir was telling about that for the qualified and qualified and non-qualified staffs, untrained staffs, because again, it is a global problem in India that you don't get qualified staff. If you will get also, you may cannot get them sticked to the system for a longer period of time. So what happens exactly? We are saying that we are going to cover all your qualified, non-qualified staffs in this policy. Third thing, we are covering the doctor's activity to the setup. The setup, if hospital policy is there, whomsoever doctor will visit to the hospital for any procedure, he is also covered, his activity is covered inside that premises. So third thing, number 4, there are certain emergencies which we have calculated for the hospital. Emergencies is like damages through mob attack, or patient dies during shifting, OT table death. This thing, one more thing, in Pune also it has become very common now, that is media trail. People are now on Facebook, WhatsApp, then YouTube. I am having an example of Pune only, that now people are paying to the some person, if he has shown to any doctor, come on and we'll make a YouTube channel and we will make a short video of her and we'll upload it up. Now what happens exactly? That has been uploaded to YouTube. You are preparing your defense, and my lawyer is talking to the court. They are giving notices, but that guy is earning also. As many as views and earning is also there. So there are so many things. So people are always thinking very notorious sort of their thought process is there in the market. So fighting from media trail, again, defamations and all is the part of the services which we are providing in the hospital policy. Fourth is that the hospital members can ask us for the documentations. We are having all sets of regular formats available with us, which are duly accepted to various courts, and advanced formats, which is being modified accordingly to timely basis, that will be provided by the hospital, by the company to the hospital. And even not only that, if a hospital owner wish, that can be checked also periodically. If they want, that can be checked periodically by the expert of the company, that is it proper or not, for the proper record maintenance and all. In continuance with the same services, we are all giving some personalized service to the hospital too. Personalized service means like municipal related any issue, if a hospital is facing biomedical waste, generally notices come, or recovery of the patient bills. It is a nightmare with all the hospitals. In my 17 years career, I have seen this is always being found that there are bills pending with the hospitals and all. Certain a time we don't have the all details of the patient, but certain a time we do have some records of the patients also, but bill has not come. So for those all solutions, doctor can avail these services in hospital policy. We are doing recoveries also for the patient bills and all. I'm sorry. A part of this, in continuance with the same, we are also fighting the cases under Labor Act, employer-employee problems, or documentation in that only. If any MOU or any agreement needs to be made, that all is being provided by the company for the hospital to run it smooth. A part of this, again, in continuance of the same, hospital policy also provides now an umbrella under which you will get fire theft policy also in the same policy. Errors and omission policy we are although providing, but I was discussing with Naurange sir also, and various recommendations I have received. Now we are ready and we are giving umbrella policy in which we are covering your building fire, theft, burglary, and all with errors and omission policies under one roof. So doctor need not to go with various insurance vendors. And again, in all the cases, let me remind you that for the claim, company will be responsible. Company is taking responsibility to take the claim, because if insurance is having 100 ways to give you policy, they are having 1,000 rules not to pay you the premium, pay you the claim. So this is things, but as we are practicing with them from last 21 years, so we better know. We are the expert with them in this big field. So we better know how to take the claims, how to make the party, how to make them informed that we will want the claim and all. So this is there. And one exclusive service is there with the hospital policy. If any hospital policy you are having, and say in any situation, if any patient attendant come to the hospital to just see his relatives and all. And during that course of time, if any damages occurs to that particular person inside the premise, his claim will be also entertained in the policy. Means suppose if any due to any mucus on the land of floor and all, and if gets slipped down, and if he is claiming something, that would be covered. Means I'm telling it in a vicarious liability of the hospital, which we are covering. So we have tried to cover maximum and all parts in the hospital a doctor which needs at the time of practice. So this is something which we are presenting before you, and I'm really thankful to you all. Again, Navrange sir, thank you so much. Deshpande ma'am, thank you so much, and all IMA and all the delegates who have attended today. And we are in touch with them. I think we will be there with you all always. So thank you so much once again from my bottom of the heart. And I pray from God, nobody should use us. No problem should be there to anyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakesh ji. It was, yeah, Rohit ji. It was excellent presentation, and the film also was really wonderful, and it really kept everyone awake. And let me make just one comment, because we are already behind the schedule. I think that we doctors need to change our attitude. You know, at times we are penny wise and pound foolish. And that is where we try to go ahead with saving money on things which are actually in these days part of profession. We are adopting all these laws based on Western system. There, everywhere the indemnity, mediclaim, all these things are so rampant, and everybody is aware of that, which is unfortunately yet to be the common thing in our practice. So it was excellent, and thank you for the support. And I'm sure most of us will contact you after that. Yes.
Rather, I will request to God that you should have safe practice.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rohit Mishra. And now I request our President Madam, Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande, to come on the dais to felicitate Mr. Rohit Mishra. Now, after this indemnity policy talk, I'll be shifting to again a medical legal topic. It is by Dr. Dilip Phalke, death on table OT. Dr. Dilip Phalke, he's a consultant Medipoints Hospital and Jupiter Hospital, Pune. He's a president, Pune Obstetric and Gynecological Society, 19 to 20, and a chairman, Ethics and Medical Legal Committee, FOXY, 2007 to 2010, and is a founder director of Dr. Prax Telecommunication System. So with this short introduction, I will request Dr. Dilip Phalke to come on the dais to deliver his talk.
So, Mr. Mohit, whatever indemnity you take, whatever apex policy you take, when it comes to death on table, it is a different matter. It's a different ball game altogether. So maybe now, after this talk, let's go back to something that is a little difficult to face at times. I'll straight go to the agenda. Agenda is a step-by-step approach to sudden death on table. First of all, I must, before I start, I must thank Meenakshi, I must thank Dr. Navrange sir, Alka, and all the IMA members for having given me this opportunity to come here and talk to you. So let's start off with enacting a drama where we are talking about a 5-bedded nursing home where we are planning to do an LSCS. And while doing the LSCS, there is a postpartum hemorrhage. I've taken this postpartum hemorrhage on purpose because of that incident that happened in Rajasthan. And supposing, let's enact that there is a cardiac arrest like situation, a near death situation, till at this moment, the death has not occurred. Let's go step by step as to what to do when such a thing happens. The immediate reaction is, चायला ऑपरेशन मध्ये काहीतरी गोची झाली असणार म्हणून ब्लिडिंग होतं. I mean, nobody says that PPH is a possibility. They will always say that the doctor has made some mistake and because of this has happened. So outcome has to be good is a kind of narrative that is there amongst all the people around. And this is the kind of narrative which has to change in the first place. And to change these narratives, organizations like Foxy, IMA, POGS, they should start working for things like a postpartum hemorrhage, things like an amniotic fluid. I have taken examples only of gynecology. There can be examples in other pathies also. But then organizations should have statements on the website on the unforeseen, like the unforeseen in gynec practice, articles in the print media, say interviews in the audiovisual media, social media campaigns. So this is what the organization needs to do. And what is it that we can do? We should be very proactive in the consents that we take. And Foxy recommends consent for even a natural vaginal delivery. Now people ask me, why consent for a natural vaginal delivery where there is nothing operative? But that's what we say, that even in a vaginal delivery, we need to give them information about what is natural vaginal delivery all about, and take signature that that information was received by the patient on this time. And then plus we take an undertaking. Supposing if she lands up with an LSCS or she lands up with an episiotomy or an a venous forceps, then we can take an additional consent and undertaking with that. And when we talk about an information of natural vaginal delivery, we also talk about postpartum hemorrhage. So from tomorrow, if everybody starts taking consent for a natural vaginal delivery, then no patient can ever claim that I was never told about postpartum hemorrhage. So that is how we have to change this narrative, that everything that happens in the theater, the outcome has to be good. That narrative has to change, and the responsibility is upon us, and the responsibility is upon the organization. So changing the narrative is a very long drawn process. Our talk today is not about the changing of this narrative. Our talk today is what to do on the ground zero, the step-by-step approach. The first thing is tip number 1, do not panic. पण डॅश वरून हे बोलायला फार सोपं आहे, पण ऍक्च्युअली जर माझ्या बरोबरच हे असं घडलं तर माझी पण फाटणार. Right? So that is what it is. So for medical legal experts, it is very nice to come on the dais and say, "Daro nahi, kuch nahi hone wala." All that you have to do when such a situation arises, that even in a case of death on table, eventually in the court of law, it has to be proved whether the doctor or the surgeon or the anesthetist was qualified to give the anesthesia. If you were, nothing to worry. And if they did the surgery, did they give a reasonable care that an averagely skilled surgeon or anesthetist would do in that situation? So if this is proved with the help of guidelines, with the help of protocols, textbook, journal references, and expert affidavit, then there is no need to worry even in a case of death on table, which goes in the court. But there are certain things that happens on the ground zero, and let's see what we can do on the ground zero. Again, a tip which is very easy to come on the dais and say, very difficult to follow, relax and resuscitate. Who resuscitates? The anesthetist, because they are the ones who are well trained in resuscitation. So even if it is a junior anesthetist, tu bajula ummai karto, aisa karne ki zarurat nahi, because that is the person who will be very good in intubation. Equipments and drugs. There was a time when Dr. Naurange sir, myself, and we used to go all over the country and we used to talk about small nursing home मध्ये minimum boils असायला पाहिजे. Then we started saying boils नाही, defibrillator पण असायला पाहिजे, कारण जर cardiac arrest झाला तर eventually in the textbook defibrillators are mentioned. Now we say not only defibrillator, but we need to have an anesthesia workstation also. Because even in small nursing home, people are doing laparoscopic surgeries now under general anesthesia. And there is a synchronous anesthesia if you use an anesthesia workstation. So our advices are changing now. Big hospitals have crash cards. We can have our small emergency trays in which everything that is there on the crash card in a big hospital, we can include that in our small tray, so that one call to the sister, एक emergency tray घेऊन ये म्हटल्यावर सगळं मिळणार त्याला, right from sticking plaster to even Caesar. So that we can have. And there is a story that I have to tell you about LMA, because in that emergency tray, in my lectures, I always talk about keeping a laryngeal mask. And what I did when I was a president, and Meenakshi would remember that, when I was a president in Pune OBGY Society, what I used to do is I gave them LMA training. And before entry to any hall where you came for an academic discussion, there was a mannequin kept outside and everybody was supposed to just put in that LMA and come inside. And I can tell you two incidences, Dr. Naurange, in this Pune district area, where the patient was saved because the gynecologist knew how to put in an LMA. An LMA was put, and then the anesthetist was called, and then the anesthetist came and actually intubated. So these innovative things we have to do, and we have to innovate for our country, because LMA may not be mentioned in any of the protocols that are there in USA or UK, but we can start doing, keeping LMAs in every small nursing homes of our country. Going ahead, documentation of resuscitation. I always say you should have printed, laminated protocols of cardiac arrest and anaphylaxis management, laminated, pasted on the wall of the OT and pasted on the wall of the ward. Because what happens is it's very easy to actually resuscitate, but it is very difficult to document what you had done. So if everything is ready at that moment, you can just copy down whatever was written in that laminated protocols. Expiry date drugs. This is something that is very important, because Dr. Naurange would remember one case in Pune wherein a tubectomy was done under spinal, but ampules of scoline was found there past expiry, and the police was saying that this is the ampule that you use, and because of which patient had a cardiac arrest. So we have to be very careful about all the drugs that are kept in the OT. They have to, because when the police comes, they know only two things. One is oxygen cylinder, and dusra manje expiry date drugs. हे एवढे दोनच गोष्टी त्यांना कळतात. So you have to be careful about those. Prescription of life-saving drugs should never be given to relatives at the time when the patient is serious, because that only proves that your hospital was lacking in those life-saving drugs. One case in Pune, you will be shocked that this case is in Pune, in the periphery of Pune, wherein a prescription of small cell battery cells of pulse oximeter was given to the relative where there was cardiac arrest after LSCS. And now this relative is claiming that this doctor did not even have a pencil cell of the pulse oximeter, how he would have monitored my wife. So be careful about such prescriptions given to the relative. Of course, call for help. And whenever somebody is called for it, the first reaction is, jhamele mein kaun padega? But remember, though this Good Samaritan law is not yet passed in our country, however, whenever you go and help someone as a Good Samaritan, you will be held responsible only if you have done something palpably wrong. Otherwise, you will not be held responsible. So when you go and help as a Good Samaritan, don't worry about what will happen in the court of law. Communicate with the staff first. And you must be wondering, doctor is talking about communication with the staff before he's talking about communication with the relatives. The reason is, the first thing when something goes wrong in the OT is the relatives will ask the Aya Maushi, "Are ikde kai zala ga aatmade?" So they tend to ask the staff. And if one staff talks about something else, the other staff talks about something else, then that is a problem. So you decide whatever is going to be your defense. Call everyone, the Aya, Mitrani, telephone operator, staff nurse, everyone, and tell them what exactly is going to be your defense, so that everybody will then talk in the same voice. So this is the importance of communicating with the staff. Then even if you're closing a dead patient on table, see to it that the mop count is correct even in the dead patient. Because now if this case goes for a postmortem and if a mop is found there, then your negligence gets added up because you have not even checked the mop count. Shifting to a tertiary care hospital after death or before death. These are the two situations. Now, supposing the patient is being shifted after death. There was a time when medical legal experts about few years back used to tell us, "Ke death झाली ना, तर तुम्ही death OT च्या बाहेर declare करू नका. Take this patient to an ICU and tell them we are making an effort and declare the death 2 or 3 hours later on. Please, for God's sake, nowadays we cannot do that, because nowadays we got monitors which can pick up when the patient actually died. And if at all you're caught up with a case of forgery, then it is arrest. Not even Mohit can save you, because Mohit can save you anywhere, but he cannot save you from arrest. So forgery, arrest, negligence, compensation, Mohit is there to give you money for that, right? So please be careful, be bold and say that the patient died in the theater and not make a show that the patient died in the ICU, where you can get caught for forgery. Before death, when the patient is serious, this is a routine thing that everybody tells. Take it as a joint decision. Shift a hemodynamically stable patient. Doctor trained in resuscitation should accompany the patient. And I'm not even talking about an anesthetist. I'm talking about somebody trained in resuscitation, meaning uske paas ACLS guideline ka training certificate hoga, transfer notes, closest center of the patient's choice. If the choice is left with us, then we should shift it to a government hospital, consent for transfer. These are routine things. I don't want to waste time on this. Complete the paperwork. Not too visibly manipulate, not too perfect, no omission of obvious phase, no contradictory note. Dr. Navrange would know a case from Pune, wherein the gynecologist in a case of PPH of the dais, I'm telling you, we were told him that let us defend it as a case of amniotic fluid embolism. Now he's trying to write his note as if it is amniotic fluid embolism. The physician comes and writes his note, says history of postpartum hemorrhage. So this becomes contradictory. So be careful about what kind of a notes that you're going to give it to the court. Absence of consent. Again, if the patient was operated and nantar आपल्याला आठवलं अरे consent घ्यायला विसरलो होतो, what do? The usual answer people give me a left-sided thumb impression. Again, this is forgery. If you're caught up with forgery, then it is arrest. And if you're caught up with negligence, it is only compensation, which is a better evil than actually getting caught up with forgery. Set the OT in order. Now, this is something actually I'm talking of the dais. Legally, this is not to be done. So, because any evidence of whatever happened in the theater, actually, before the police comes, you're not even supposed to touch anything. But I'm telling you, clean the floor. कारण आपण जेव्हा bleeding बघतो तेव्हा आपण म्हणतो 500 ml bleeding झालं, 700 ml bleeding झालं. But when the relatives come, they say बादली भरून bleeding झालं. So this is the kind of picture that they have. Clean the floors. Dispose the drapes that are blood stained. Check all the equipments, especially oxygen cylinder, because police na काय करतं? Oxygen cylinder. Check the oxygen cylinder, IV lines, catheter, save all use ampoules, check expiry. And the last thing is about endotracheal tube. And when I ask it, in most of the conferences, they say, check whether the endotracheal tube was in the trachea. This is exactly what one person did in Bandra. There was a death on table. He checked that it was in the trachea. But while the body was being shifted from the table to the trolley, that tube shifted from the trachea to the esophagus. So now the new idea, the new advice that I give is, अशा वेळेला tube बाजूला काढून ठेवा. So that the police will have nothing to say whether the tube was in the trachea, or the PM surgeon will have nothing to say whether the tube was in the trachea or in the esophagus. Informing the relatives, I say, is a ceremony. Time to time information is, you cannot just come out and say, tumcha patient gela. No, it has to be time to time telling that the patient is serious. We are trying to do something. It has to be done by a senior. No, junior should not be coming. Senior should, the consultant should do that. Proper communication. हे सगळं बोलायला परत सोपं आहे. Be polite, be patient, be sympathetic, but be assertive. बोलना आसान है, करना difficult है. Unless you become senior like me or senior like Dr. Navrange sir with a halo around your head, only then this kind of communication works. Otherwise, junior la हे करना. When we were juniors, we also fumbled. Nice, Navrange sir. Now we have that confidence of, even if there is a death, we can talk to the relatives much better. No blame game. कारण नाहीतर सर्जन म्हणतो काही नाही, सगळं व्यवस्थित, सर्जरी आपली एकदम मस्त झाली, काय झालं ते नंतर जरा बीपी लो झाला, मग ते औषधं द्यायचा प्रयत्न केला. व्हॉट इज इट ट्राइंग टू से? दॅट माय सर्जरी वॉज करेक्ट, बट द एनेस्थेटिस्ट डिड ऑल द गोची. और द एनेस्थेटिस्ट वुड कम आउट अँड से स्पाइनल वगैरे आपला सगळं व्यवस्थित चेक झाला होता, पण काय खाल्लं, ब्लीडिंग खूप झालं ना, मग त्यामुळे बीपी लो झाला. व्हॉट दे आर ट्राइंग टू से इज, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया, जो किया उसने किया. You do this and the case is lost. So that is what I always say. Be prepared for a mob frenzy. Call the police. Now, these are the questions that I wanted to discuss, and I wanted some interaction from Dr. Navrange also. Is it mandatory to call the police on all cases of death on table or even maternal death? The answer is, there is no statutory law which says that you have to call police for every death on table. Tomorrow, a ASA grade 4 cardiac case being operated, you are going to call police for every such case. So there is no statutory law in our country which says that you have to call the police for any death on table. However, because supposing I am operating on a patient which is young, who's not expected to die on table, and there is a possibility that the relatives may have some suspicion against me, it is safe to call the police, but it is not mandatory to call the police. On whom is the onus of convincing the relatives to send for medical legal PM? Is it on us? The answer is no, it is on the police. So you are just calling the police if you feel there is some suspicion, and it is for the police to decide whether the medical legal PM is to be given or not, which comes to our second question. Can we give a cause of death certificate in a case of death on table, even if it is a maternal death? Yes, there is no statutory law says which we cannot give. Even in a case of PPH, you can always say she died because of multi-organ failure because of severe hypertension, because of postpartum hemorrhage, because of placenta previa, whatever reason. So you have full right to give the cause of death if you know the cause of death. Which comes to this situation, and this is a food for thought, and I want Dr. Naurange's interaction later on this situation. We know the cause of death. I am operating and I know the patient died because of placenta previa, because it was a postpartum hemorrhage, placenta previa. Example, PPH is as I told you, this is the cause of death. But the doctor calls the police for abandoned caution. I am doing this surgery, the patient died, and I'm calling the police for abandoned caution. मला माहिती भी देऊ शकतो, परंतु मी पोलिसला बोलवलं कारण काही suspicion असेल, let the police come and decide. Police is not insisting on a medical legal PM. Police मेरे को कह रही देऊन टाका ना doctor. And the relatives are ready to sign and give in writing that they have no suspicion on the doctor. Now, there was a time when all the medical legal experts would come on the dais and say, hey, शेवटचं होऊ शकत नाही, करायचंच नाही, because this will not save you in the court of law. My question here is to Dr. Naurange sir also, I have done my duty by calling the police. The police has come here and police is saying, we don't want medical legal PM. I know the cause of death. I have full right to give the cause of death. Can I not take undertaking from the relatives? And supposing undertaking relativeच्या undertaking नंतर पोलिसने पण साइन केलं, so will that not save me in the court of law if the court asks me की ह्याच्या वेळेला तुम्ही postmortem का केलं नाही? So this is one thing that maybe we'll discuss. It will save. So yeah.
देऊन टाका तुम्हाला काही सस्पेशन नाही, पेरेंट्स रिलेटिव्स पण काही नाही, आणि they are also giving in writing. But over there, sir, what happens is the police don't give it in writing. They don't sign on that. So ultimately what I would say is these days we have the CCTVs and have this conversation under the CCTV, that is more than enough. But you can give a cause of death.
आणि मला दुसरं आर्ग्युमेंट असं आहे सर की ठीक आहे पोलिसांनी साइन केली नाही, परंतु मी 100 वर फोन करून पोलिसांना बोलवलंय तिथे, एवढं मी प्रूव्ह केलं. आता कोर्टात मी काय सांगणार, पोलीस तिथे आला म्हणजे ही पोलीसची ड्युटी होती की जर मेडिकल लिगल पीएम करायचं की नाही. आता मला I know the cause of death. It is my right to give the cause of death. On the top of it, I have taken for abandoned caution from the relatives that they do not have anything against us. So I wanted this particular point to be discussed because many medical legal experts for so many years have been saying की हा पॉइंट कधीच आपण करू शकत नाही आणि असं केलं तरी कोर्टामध्ये आपल्याला काही आपण सुटू शकत नाही. So as we also mature, as we mature with experience of cases, the way Dr. Naurange in that particular case, he learned something, and as we learn, even our advices keep on changing. So that's the reason why I thought it was important for us to know this. So this was my argument. What is the role of police? The police will come as an investigating authority for alleged medical negligence. They'll do a panchanama. And if they are going to do a panchanama, and if it is a female patient, keep 2 or 3 punches from your side so that नंतर कोर्टामध्ये ते आले तर पंच आपल्या साईडचेच असलेले बरे असतात. So always keep it ready. Collect evidence, and if supposing the police is asking for the paper, give them a numbered copy of the paper and take a signature, because मग तुमची numbered असेल तर कुठलेच मधला पेपर जो तुमचा डिफेन्स असेल, they may not submit that in the court. Allow the body to be taken for MLC, PMO, hand over the DC to the police. Arrest us if prima facie negligence is suspected, and the role of police is also there if there is a possibility of a mob violence. Now, even a maternal death review in PM Pune Municipal Corporation or Pimpri Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, these people are not supposed to judge her for medical negligence. Please remember that. आपण maternal death review ला जेव्हा जातो यांच्या पुढे आपल्या मनात भीती असते की आता काय होणार, परंतु ती भीती बाळगायची गरज नाही. दे आर जस्ट डुईंग अ रिव्ह्यू टू फाइंड आउट तिने आयर्न कॅल्शियम गोळ्या घेतल्या होत्या का, अँटीनेटल व्हिजिट केली होती का, तिने टेटनसचं इंजेक्शन घेतलं होतं का. दीज आर द थिंग दॅट दे आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट. सो यू help them in this, but don't be afraid of any negligence. They have got no right to ask you why did you give the cause of death, why did you not send the body for medical legal PM and things like that. So be bold when you are facing a maternal death review, and don't even think about that. And of course, Everybody has told you, all the medical legal experts have told you that now police cannot arrest you directly. They have to do an initial inquiry. Then they have to send all these papers to a government hospital. They will form a committee, and they will only if the committee says that there is a prima facie evidence of gross negligence. Gross means wrong patient operated, wrong side operated, mop left inside the abdomen. त्यामुळे हे medical college professors have to just give one liner that there is no evidence of any gross, no prima facie evidence of any gross criminal negligence. That's all. पिटोसन डीप मॉनिटर स्वतः केलं असतं तर बरं झालं असतं. कन्झर्वेटिव्ह ट्रीटमेंट दिली असती तर बरं झालं असतं. ऑल दीज ओपिनियन आर फॉर ओपिनियन आस्क्ड बाय द कंझ्युमर कोर्ट. When the opinion is asked by the police, then you have to give just a one liner that there is no prima facie evidence of any gross criminal negligence, and that's all. Now, if supposing a criminal case of gross negligence is there, supposing there is a prima facie evidence of gross criminal negligence, then under which IPC are we going to get? These are only the last two slides. I'm going to just spend some time on these IPCs because it is important for us to know these IPCs, and then I'll stop. 304A and 304 part 2. First, try to understand 304 part 2. आणि 304 part 2 समजायला आपल्याला सलमान खानची केस माहित असायची गरज आहे. 3 things. Conduct, intention and knowledge. सलमान खाननी कंडक्ट केला, दारू पिऊन गाडी चालवली. कंडक्ट आहे? Yes, it is there. Was there any intention to kill anyone? No. सलमान खानला काहीच इंटेन्शन नव्हते. But was there knowledge? Yes, there was knowledge. Everybody knows कि दारू पी के गाड़ी चलाएगा तो कोई मर सकता है. So knowledge was there. So that is 304 part 2, where maximum 10 years of imprisonment, fine plus fine, and it is non bailable. Non bailable म्हणजे बेल मिलता है लेकिन मैजिस्ट्रेट देता है, तो 1-2 दिन आपको पुलिस कस्टडी में रहना पड़ता है. As against that, it is 304 part A. So we are not supposed to be booked under 304 part 2, but police mischievously does that and they book us under 304 part 2. Now let us understand 304 part A. Again, 3 things: conduct, intention and knowledge. Conduct आहे, आपण ऑपरेट करताना पेशंट मेला. कंडक्ट आहे? Yes. Intention है? No. Knowledge है? Knowledge म्हटल्यावर आता थोडं कन्फ्युजन झालं ना. Where you are confused, the police is also going to be confused. Police says you're doctors, you know everything, आपको knowledge है पूरी चीज का. But there is a difference between being knowledgeable in the true sense of the word, because we are doctors, we know the anatomy, we know the physiology, we know the pathology, so we know why the patient died. Being knowledgeable is one thing, and knowledge as per the legal term is something else. So this is not that knowledge, and the doctor, if at all, has to be arrested under 304 part 2, wherein the maximum punishment is only 2 years with fine, and it is bailable. म्हणजे पोलीस स्टेशन मध्ये जायचं, आता मला माहित नाही, पूर्वी 5,000 द्यावे लागायचे, आता थोडं जास्त असतील, 2,000 पण घेतात, तर तेवढे पैसे द्यायचे आणि लगेच घरी यायचं. म्हणजे पोलीस कस्टडी मध्ये रात्री थांबायची गरज नाही. सो यू वुड लाईक टू बी अरेस्टेड अंडर 304 पार्ट ए और 304 पार्ट 2? 304 पार्ट ए नॅचरली ना, जर इफ एट ऑल. एक तर अरेस्ट व्हायलाच नाही पाहिजे, पण जर झालं तर 304 पार्ट यू. परंतु तुमच्यावर जर अशी केस आली, कधी घडलं, असं घडू नये, पण घडलं, आणि इफ यू आर अरेस्टेड अंडर 304 पार्ट 2 instead of 304 part 1, then what do you do? Then all you have to do is, he will come running, and literally running, because he is the only old man, or he's not even an old person, he's a very young person who can come literally running to help you in such a situations. I thank you for a very patient listening. Thank you very much.
Dilip, it was wonderful, very lively session, and in your usual style. Yeah, and yeah, the entertainment as well as knowledge. Okay, so that's what is the need of our also. Yeah, so it was wonderful. So I don't think we are taking up any questions. So yeah. So I request Meenakshi madam. Yeah.
I request Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande madam to come on the dais for felicitation of Dr. Dilip Walke. Yes, and Dr. Jayan Navarange sir to join, and chairpersons to join. तुमचं हसलं तर पाहिजेच नाही का डेथ ऑन द टेबल हसलं तर पाहिजेच Yes, it was really a wonderful talk by, as usual, by Dr. Dilip Palke. Now there is one special talk by Mr. Nilesh Sakpal from Technish Immunita Private Limited. E-संकलन त्यांचं जे आहे ते E-संकलन of HMC software and other services are NAB accredited support. Yes, come there. Mr. Sakpal? Yeah. Sir, yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I think it was a nice talk by Mr. Dilip and I think Dr. Dilip. Sorry, I'm a non-doctor, so I'm used to call people by Mr. So I think the first session we talked on the risk management and the second session we talked about the death on table. I think it was quite a new for me. But I think one statement of Mr. Dilip, Dr. Dilip was catch to me that, complete documentation is a good evidence. And when we doctors, you doctors always tell us that, prevention is better than cure. And this is where, I would like to take this presentation that we want to take you one step behind, before risk management, before, talking about the debts, what important is, how to be clear about the documentation, how to be clear about the evidence preparation, how my evidence can be foolproof. And as we know that, today is the International Justice Day as well. So, the evidence may or should not be tampered at any time. And that is where, our concept about the E-Sankalan comes in place. So I think the legal cases, the MLCs, the medical legal cases, there are many around this. I think I'll not spend much time on this, but the outcomes could be horrifying for the doctors. It could land doctors in terrible cases like even to the arrest. There was one case about the 22-year-old lady who was pregnant and died, and then later the hospital was sued by the jury. The second case was about the poor communication. A 34-year-old patient was referred to a specialist by a doctor, but was not put it on the paper. And it led to the quite serious concerns about, paying the money and to come out of that, the case. Now, again, there are legal requirements that, the Lucknow court has said that, there has to be, the MLC cases need to be typed and not to be, handwritten. Now, why that is important? Because, to clear on the part of the evidence that, once you type it, there's no second angle or the alternate angle can be drawn out. There's NMC RMP regulation 2022, which talks about that every patient record need to be maintained for 3 years. And 3 years maintaining record is a big task. We all know that. Now, my focus is talking about, how to maintain and how to prepare this documentation, how to make sure that everything is done. There are staff-related issues, there are patient-related issues, and there are storage-related issues, and of course, the software-related issues. We try to be better, but again, we get stuck because of these problems. Staff always feel that, they are always on demand to, maintain this documentation. There's a monotonous work for every patient. They have to write down 8, 9, 10, 11 registers all the time. There's always possibility that there could be error in documentation. We all know that Lassa drugs, looks like, sounds alike. There are a lot of times doctors give prescription on phone calls and being interpreted wrongly. and the patient suffers the consequences, and one of the major cause for the MLC. And preparing and this maintaining documents for the insurance requirement again becomes the another task. So what would it lead to? For the medical staffs, it leads to the long working hours. They get incurious about anything new that need to be adopted because they are so much down with the regular work. They don't want to go with the recording and typing and doing the new things. The interest gets lost slowly. There's a negative impact on the mental health of your staff or of the doctors and leads to the stress. And what happens? It's a fatigue, decreased staff efficiencies, decreased staff satisfaction. They don't want to work. You call them, they work in first 2 months, first 3 months as effectively, but later on the efficiency just starts going down. This unproductive work, we start spending more time with our staff to make them sure that how to work. And then, of course, the lacking this technical upgradation becomes the another hindrance for the progress. Now, going to the patient-related issues, as we spend a lot of time with the documentation, record keeping, we eventually spend less time with the patient. Patient always have a attitude to call all the time doctor, nurse, and in turn, the nurses or doctors give less time. The patient case, the complaints are not resolved, and there is no time for doing the additional duties or the something which may get missed is could have been important during the patient care. And of course, the misuse of the patient document. Nowadays, again, we have seen a trend. I think it was mentioned in the previous presentation also, the WhatsApp or the social media. Nowadays, a lot of prescriptions are passed forward on the WhatsApp. A lot of important documents are passed forwarded on the WhatsApp, which can be misused by the patient, which can be misused by a lot many other parties during this treatment. Now, what happens? It results into the negative patient feedback. We don't want negative feedback coming to our brand, to our hospital, or to even to the doctor's name, and which leads to the low patient inflow, and of course, losing the time and money. Now we have a ability, the age-long practice of keeping everything in the hard document. Now, hard documents keeping for any particular hospital needs a lot of storage. We've seen the hospitals where the storages have been done in canteen or done in the places where they should not be. There are a lot of issues with the documents which get piled up every day, and then you need a lot of human resources to manage it. There's a transportation issue. You have to discard them. You have to decide you have to discard them. And there's a cost. And of course, the security concerns are always there. So what it leads to that, it is a lot of physical space is being wasted, which could have been used efficiently. Security risk. There's no searchability. You cannot refer any document at all because the document is sitting in hard copy. You can't just put a Google, which is, nowadays we are, used to that. I don't have an interface wherein I can search my document or patient record for referring the new patient. So it gets having a record is not of use. Then of course it is prone to the fire risk, your calamities, the floods, or even earthquake. You can lose the record, you can lose the data. And that could be very, very pragmatic in case of, you're fighting the MLC cases. Not having data is not having evidence. You can't defend yourself in the law of court. Now, there are a lot of softwares available in the market. Having said that, there are a lot of companies are giving out the software tools, but the main concern with the doctors is that they are over expensive or they are completely non-customizable. You can't customize those tools for your requirement. You can't put the format the way you want or the NABH want. And that is where the failure story or the success story ends with the software tools. Now that is one of the issue which leads to, then again, difficulty in managing the documents. There are frequent errors. People lose the documents, data, and the legal complication, and of course the money and time. So all these problems we have storage problem, we have communication problem, we have the problems with the security and threats. What is the solution? Now what we are doing with the group of doctors, with the group of HMC professionals, we have developed a solution, which is a digital solution for a hospital. You can call it as an enterprise resource solution, which is an ERP solution called eSankalan, wherein everything will get recorded. the way we want, the way hospital wants, and the way NABH wants, and you are prepared for your audits and as well as for any case which might come in future. So it's completely customizable software and which takes in care of the entire hospital operation, starting from billing till the time of your end discharge of the patient. The paperless record, there's back-end register filling. You don't have to fill the 8 register, 10 register all the time. You put it once and it goes to everyone. And it is done automatically without doing any extra effort. Staff can focus more on their work. Doctors can focus more on their work. There's a basic information of the doctor. They can prioritize their patients. You know, the doctor's duty can be more effective. Of course, time management will increase, and so as the cash flow management. Even the billing is done through the software. So every patient's record, every patient's bill, the medicines, everything will be managed by the software. And of course, every asset in the hospital can also be recorded in software. So you know which asset is going to need to be improved. So the features, what I was telling, billing, your ambulance management, your GOB, all your registers, your MLC management, your OT management, your 100% data security, which is paramount. You know, like we are developing this software to be cloud-based. And we have security experts, data experts, which means that your software is on the cloud and doctor on the go can access the patient data, which means that a doctor may not be in Pune. He may be internationally somewhere else, but there is an emergency for the ongoing patient. He can just log in through VPN or through the internet, and he can see all the data related to patient, and the patient can be saved or the emergency can be handled. And that is one of the most important features of this software, which helps you doing HR management, all the staff duties, your shifts, your entry and exit of the staff, your patient management, your doctor's notes, your CEO and your nurse's notes, your automated data backup, and your referral management. Now, when we say CEO or the other roles, now CEO is not interested in doing the micromanagement of the hospital. As a trustee, I want to see how many patients are in, out, what is the billing, what is the profit, what was the last year's profit. So everybody has a controlled access. The CEO will see something which doctor may not see. A doctor needs access for the patient-related information. When he logs in, he would only see the doctor-related information or the patient-related information. Same goes for the nurse. They'll have the controlled access. Same as reception and the billing portal. Then the human resource, the HR department. Then the administration of the hospital, including the ambulance management, including day-to-day management. Even the housekeeping part, how much chemicals you have, how many chemicals you've been using. Even then the technician, your path laboratory, and your radiology. All the path test, radiology test, everything is recorded, directly linked to your patient. You don't have to send the hard copies of the forms to every patient to go and go for the path lab test or the radiology lab test. These are the few snapshots of the software. How does it look? It's user-friendly. You put it once and then it gets appear to everywhere. So admission or doing follow-up becomes much easier. Then pharmacy, medicines. I think Dr. Dilip said a very important point about expiry date. The software automatically tells you which tablets, which medicines are going to expire. And that is the auto alarm or auto kind of indication to the doctors that which medicines are going to get expired. You can have this installed in your pharmacy or nearby pharmacies also. So nearby pharmacies can see which medicines are given to which particular patient on the prescription basis. The diagnostic or path lab, where you can see the which test and which things are being recommended for this your patient. So overall, when we talk about this software, it is the entire hospital management. We don't talk about only the patient management or doctor management. It is linked with starting from the billing till the discharge of the patient. And when we talk about the MLC, the real-time data or real-time recording is very important. The evidence, when I put that in the software, the time, date, everything gets recorded. So if I pull that information later, it can stand in the law of court. And that is the importance of this software. You've developed it. I would request anybody is interested to get the demo of this software. We are today announcing that we can give the free demo for a month so that you doctor can use it, get accustomed to it, and then we can go to the next step. Thank you.
Just a minute, sir. I will request our President, Madam, to felicitate Mr. Sangpal, sir.
Yes, we can do that. We are a software company, so we can customize.
Momentum आपण बनवलं तुमचं. Pen drive आहे ना? Now the next lecture is by Dr. Sanjay Patil, sir. He does not need any introduction, but I'll be telling in short. He's a practicing ophthalmologist at Swargate for last 27 years. He's a undergraduate and postgraduate from BJMC, Pune. He's a recipient of gold medal in ophthalmology by Pune University. At present, he's a executive trustee IMA Pune, then IMA National Joint Secretary, CGP Headquarters, Director IMA HBI Headquarters, Chairman Hospital Board of India Pune, Managing Committee member of IMA MS Social Security Scheme, regular CWCU member IMA Headquarters, Vice Chairman IMA JDN Headquarters, and he has got various posts in IMA. So over to sir. He'll be talking on local body regulation.
Thank you, Madam. Respected President, Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande, Dr. Jayant Naurange, sir, Executive Trustee, respected Chairman. At the outset, I would like to thank IMA Pune for giving me this opportunity to present on a local bodies regulation. Friends, I am really honored that two chairpersons, that Dr. Karve, with whom I have worked in a COVID, and he is one of the best administrators in Pune city. And second is Dr. Vaijayanti Patwardhan, who is having a track record of this topic, that is local bodies regulation. So very apt two chairpersons are there. Coming to today's topic, in the morning, Dr. Behere asked me why you are wearing a black shirt. So friends, काळा शर्ट घालायचा अर्थ असा आहे की आज मेडिको लिगल ही एक आपण कॉन्फरन्स करतोय. काळा रंग हा लिगॅलिटीचं प्रतीक आहे आणि ह्याच्यामध्ये पांढऱ्या रेषा आहेत, म्हणजे मेडिसिनला त्यांनी एवढं रिड्यूस करून टाकलेलं आहे. म्हणून हा माझ्या मुलाचा शर्ट घातलाय. दुसरं कारण असं आहे त्याचं की आपण नेहमीच ब्लॅक बॅजेस लावत आलोय, काळ्या हे रिबिनी लावतो आपण, तर इतका निषेध करावा असं वाटतो गव्हर्नमेंटचा की काळा शर्ट घालायचीच वेळ आलेली आहे. तर ह्या दोन गोष्टी सांगितलं म्हणजे अनंताची झोप गेलेली आहे. So coming to today's talk, friends, I have divided my talk in 6 segments. First, we will see we are answerable to whom, then overview of the regulations for medical professionals, then role of regulations and current scenario, then local bodies regulations, and mainly we will consider today Bombay Nursing Home Registration Act, and there are other regulations covered by other faculties, so we will not consider those other regulations. So quickly we'll go through, we are answerable to mainly MMC. Second is the emergency in healthcare laws, that is a pandemic or disaster management act, which we have noticed recently. Then police, judiciary, consumer court, and local authorities and laws applicable to the hospitals. So I have divided all those laws applicable for us in 4 categories, and almost 56 or more types of permissions are required. Dr. Karve will enlighten us on this also. But these are mainly commissioning of the hospital. We require Bombay Nursing Home Registration Act, fire safety, electricity, National Building Code, radiation and atomic energy, and so on. For laws related to sales, storage, and medicines and safe medication, that is blood banks, drug cosmetic act, narcotic, psychotropic substance act, pharmacy act, and so on. Third one is the laws governing the environmental safety, that is air, water, and biomedical waste. Everyone knows about this. Then laws governing employment and management of manpower, labor, shop act, then provident fund, ESI, minimal wages, bonus, gratuity, workman's compensation, and so on. So these laws are applicable for us. Friends, the role of regulation, we have to understand that the regulation set standards around quality, transparency, and accountability. Over last few years, what we have seen that regulation of private healthcare has been high on agenda of government authorities. And friends, the CEA, Clinical Establishment Act, was passed in 2011. And out of 36 states and union territories, only 11 states have adopted this. What we are fighting in Maharashtra, that we already are having Bombay Nursing Home Act, Registration Act. Then in that case, we don't need this CA because we are having this act in force. Also, we'll see a little about today's scenario, that it is well established. The private sector is characterized by heterogeneity. At the primary level, it consists of individual practitioners. Secondary level, there is a enormous variation in size of facilities, number of beds, and types and cost of services. At the secondary level, there are small and large private hospitals or nursing homes providing both outpatient and inpatient care. The majority with the less than 25 to 30 beds and are owned by doctors as a sole proprietors. And tertiary specialty or super specialty, these are corporate hospitals, and they comprise of only 5 to 10% of total beds in the private sector. So from citizen side or from judiciary side or from activist side, there are few observations or views from opposite side. There are serious concerns regarding access, negligence, malpractice, exploitation, denial of care, unnecessary procedures, excess use of technology to diagnose and treat, absence of standardization of fees, record keeping, and insurance frauds. These are the happening there. Then official registration of private hospitals is very low. This is a main concern, that they have found that on a physical mapping of various hospital, there are 4 to 10 times more private hospital. Those are unregistered hospital existing in our sector. And this, because of this poor registration, there is no reliable information about the private sector. From IMS side, we are saying that recently most of the provisions and amendments are becoming unrealistic, impractical, and unnecessary, and are only to harass us, to harass the medical professionals. And the main issue is the implementation and interpretation of various acts by various appropriate authorities, and that is leading to unrest amongst our members. So this is the list of local bodies regulation, what the PMC medical officer, they regulate us. That is main is Bombay Nursing Home Act, biomedical waste, fire safety, notification of certain diseases, then PCPNDT, MTP, Epidemic or Disaster Act, Management Act, then Parwana and Akash Chinna. This is a new thing, and many members are facing this issue, and the birth and death record. Coming to the main topic, that is Bombay Nursing Home Registration Act, also known as a Maharashtra Nursing Home Registration Rules. And it has amended from 1950 to now recently it is amended in 2021. So we'll consider the main, what do you mean by local authority? Then we'll consider about the refusal of registration, then cancellation of registration, and various penalty clauses and inspection. These 5 points we'll highlight today. That local authority in the municipal corporation area, MOH will be the authority. In the jurisdiction of municipal council, civil surgeon will be the authority. And in case of cantonment, again MOH of that cantonment area. And in the areas other than these 3 categories, the district health officer is a local authority. In case of application of registration, the local authority may refuse your application. There are certain criteria, and these are important that we should learn this refusal criteria very closely, that the cancellation of your registration depends on these refusal criteria. So the person employed, the authority, if it is satisfied that he or any person employed by him at nursing home is not a fit person, whether by reason of age or otherwise, to carry on or to be employed at the nursing home. Second is the management of the nursing home should be under qualified doctor. And if at all the qualified doctor is not there, then the prescribed proportion of nurses is required. So this is the second criteria. Third is in case of maternity home, there are 3-4 criteria. It is regarding the staff. Second is the premises. That area of premises of nursing home is less than the prescribed area. Third is number of beds available in the nursing home exceed than the those prescribed. Lastly, the nursing home owner is a government medical officer. And last one is that the reasons connected with the situation, construction, accommodation, staffing, or equipment of that nursing home. These are the criteria for the refusal of any application. So penalty for running a non-registered hospital, that the penalty is big, that is imprisonment, which may extend to 6 months, or with fine with which may extend to 10,000 rupees, or with both. So this is the penalty for non-registration. Cancellation, this is a very important thing, that they can cancel. The thing is, the local supervising authority may at any time cancel the registration of a person in respect of any nursing home on any ground which would entitle it to refuse an application for the registration. So these are the criteria, refusal criteria. Same they can apply for cancellation. So the local authority cannot ask hospital owners to shut down their hospitals any other grounds. Also, they cannot control our professional charges through Bombay Nursing Home Registration Act. They controlled our charges in the during Epidemic Act, and now it is not in force. So this is the what I would like to highlight. So once you get the cancellation order from the authority, then we can appeal it to the state government. So even if they cancel your registration, the final authority is the state government. So decision of state government of any such appeal shall be final. So the local authority can cancel your registration, but final authority is with the state government. So inspection, they can inspect your premises used or to be used before giving the registration. But they also they can inspect any record, but required to be kept in accordance with the provision of this act. They cannot inspect patient's record. So this is a very important point. Then penalty is very minimal, that is fine, which may extend to 5,000, or in case of continuing of offense, that 50 rupees per day till it continues. And that there are latest amendment. IMA's views are these amendments to in 2021, these are impractical, that these no rules amendment should be applicable in retrospective manner, and they are going to apply it in a retrospective manner, and this shall kill the healthcare establishment. The space, area, and other infrastructural constraints in the said amendment are impossible for existing hospitals. Then what we have highlighted before, that the subjective and varied application and implementation by various civic bodies of the Nursing Home Registration Act has been the biggest threat to all doctors and hospitals in Maharashtra state. The applicant should be registered medical practitioner, and other things like fire or biomedical waste should not be considered while giving the registration, because they are outside the purview of registration purpose. Then qualified staffing, as everyone knows that there is a shortage of qualified nurses, and so it is very difficult to comply with these rules. So our view is that hospital registration is the record keeping process, and there is only inspection. So for this, the civic body should not charge the around say 1 lakh rupees for a 100-bedded hospital, and it should be considered as a service sector, and the subsidies should be there, and it should not be treated as a source of income for civic bodies, and it should be waived off, or it should be nominal. And our request is IMA and Hospital Board of India should get representation in the local authorities. Other acts are Biomedical Waste Management Act and Fire Safety Act. These are the huge topic to cover. It is a topic of separate discussion. PCPNDT, Dr. Meenakshi is going to cover. MTP Act, Dr. Jape is going to cover. So coming to the end, so key points, friends. Government is trying to over-regulate our medical profession. They are trying to control our professional fees, mainly through Mediclaim insurance. Then updated knowledge of various regulation is utmost important. Proper implementation and interpretation of provisions by local authorities is expected. And role of associations like IMA is most vital. We need to continue our self-regulation. That is a medical ethics. We should continue that thing. If you get any notice or any communication from the local authorities, then please read it thoroughly. Get the help from medical legal team from IMA. And lastly, most of the time, timely and proper reply helps. So with this, I conclude over here and thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Patil sir. That was very, very neatly covered in a very short time. It's a very huge topic because as an administrator, I have faced problems of nursing home registration licenses so many times. I have been refused a license renewal for a very simple reason that one of my surgeons had not got the additional qualification certificate from MMC. And that took 6 months to do until the time I was in abeyance. I had a occasion of attending a meeting with the then health minister during the COVID time. And the Pune municipal commissioner and the district collector on the record went and told that 86% of patients in COVID pandemic were handled by the private sector. But even after that, once that thing is over, the corporation is back to square one. So the whole problem still continues.
Yeah, Dr. Patil, I also agree with Dr. Karve. खूप थोड्या शब्दात आणि जे पाहिजे ते नेमकं तुम्ही सांगितलं त्याबद्दल thanks and congratulations. Just one, maybe one suggestion from my side or addition, you can say. Even POSH Act is also one of the legal
POXO.
compliances. POXO तर आहेच, POXO
आहेच,
आहेच, but
plus
POSH is related to the female workplace harassment of women. So if you have
Workplace
10
harassment.
people,
Okay.
आणि हे खूप जणांना माहिती नाहीये, but yes, we will have some other time, some section. इट्स अ बिग टॉपिक, पण आपल्याला सगळ्यांना तो लागू होतो नर्सिंग होम चालवणाऱ्यांना, आणि तो त्याच्या अंडर आपण कोणी कधी प्रॉब्लेम्स येतात. कारण आय एम वर्किंग ऑन 5 कमिटीज ऑफ डिफरंट प्लेसेस, आणि ज्या कंप्लेंट्स आमच्याकडे येतात त्याच्यामध्ये हॉस्पिटल पण आहेत. थँक्यू.
Like you said, it's not the law. The person who LLP, who have a subject called an inspection statute. That's the problem. So I don't know, it's a law.
Sir, my request for Dr. Sanjay Patil sir to come on the dais to accept our felicitation, and Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande madam to felicitate Dr. Sanjay Patil sir, Dr. Naurange sir to come on the dais, please. And chairpersons to join. The next talk is by Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande. It is on MTP amendments, MTP Act amendments. Madam is MBBS MD, obstetric and gynac, consulting obstetrician and gynecologist, high risk pregnancy consultant and colposcopist. She is a president of IMA Pune, everyone knows. Chairperson, IMA Pune Medical Legal and IMS Subcommittee, IMA National Standing Committee, Initiative of Safe Motherhood member, Foxy VAW, Cell Master Trainer, representative of NIMC team, GOI. She has received many awards And at present, she's a director at Vatsalya Hospital, Siaghad Road, consultant Krishna Hospital, honorary consultant Ramakrishna Math, Siaghad Road, said Tarachand Charitable Hospital, Pune. Yes, 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 madam. Yes. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Naurange sir for giving this topic. And actually, we were going to skip both of the topics. But then later, when I found out his Dr. Advocate Rohit Erende, who is beyond me, I thought, yes, I should speak. There are many gynecologists in this audience, but I'm not speaking for the gynecologists today. Today, I'm speaking on the non-gynecologists who think that the MTP amendment has helped. And I'm going to tell you how the MTP amendments are not helping so much as they should have helped. So just see, because I'm not going to focus more on what the gynecologists already know and what Dr. Sanjay Patil has focused that yes, we should be wearing black every day now, because not only whatever amendments which are got are supposed to be for the betterment of the practice, betterment of the gynecological OPDs, and for the benefit of the patients, but no, they are not coming in that way. And I will tell you how. And that is why I took this talk actually, because I wanted to show, and we have to discuss, we have to fight it out through IMA that this amendment is not a very good amendment. Yes, so this is the MTP Act, everybody knows. All know about the history of the MTP Act, how it started from 1861, Shantilal Shah Committee 1964 and everything. And how slowly, the women's rights started coming into picture. And of course, our chairpersons are here. So all of us know the history and how the women's rights and all of us human rights came forward saying that a woman has a right to control her own body. A woman has a right to control when she will give birth and when she will not. And it all started upon that. So first of all, the government agreed that yes, who the mothers are at risk, they will have an MTP. When there's a grave substantial risk that the child is born with serious handicap, yes, we will allow MTP. When the pregnancy is due to rape, yes, we will allow MTP. And a contraceptive failure due to marriage, because in the case of married women, till recently it was married women only. That is the positive change now, that after these amendments, the unmarried woman can also have an indication for doing an MTP on her own. So what are the motives of the amendments? That is what I'm trying to say, that these amendments are made because of our progress done in medical science with respect to safe abortions. They expand access to safe and legal abortion services on therapeutic, eugenic, humanitarian and social grounds to ensure universal access to comprehensive health care. And they are supposed to prevent or decrease the maternal mortality to meet the sustainable developmental goals. Because few sustainable developmental goals reduce maternal mortality, whereas few have access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. So we have to have access to safe abortion. And that is the indication, that is the why these laws have come or these amendments have come. But do they really achieve? Now see the whole thing, that the salient features of the amendment are that enhancing the upper gestational limit is done from 20 to 24 weeks for special categories of women. Opinion of only one provider is required now up to 20 weeks, whereas 2 providers from 20 to 24 weeks. Upper gestational limit is not to apply in cases of substantial fetal anomalies diagnosed by medical board. Name and other particulars of a woman whose pregnancy has been terminated shall not be revealed except to a person authorized in any law. And ground of failure of contraceptive extended to woman and a partner, not husband. So now if you can see this, you know that yes, kiti chan kelay, sagra sopa kelay, खूप. Advocate Erende, what do you feel? You must be getting a primary impression that this has become more easier for the patients. But I'll tell you now slowly how this is not a very easy thing to accept for doctors, especially gynecologists. See, upper 5 sections are okay. We have all talked on that. Advice of 1 RMP, advice of 1 RMP, 2 RMPs, medical board, one doctor to save the life. Look at the fifth one. For any infringement of privacy, there is an imprisonment for 1 year or fine or both. Now, this was not there, and this has come in the amendments. So any breach of confidentiality by the doctor is supposed to put a doctor behind bar. It's supposed to put an imprisonment of 1 year and fine or both. So you cannot say ki I'm done, I've just told one person about the name of the patient. So this is not at all acceptable to any PO, any gynec fraternity. So again, what is an RMP? What is the definition of RMP? So that has been leveled down by government. Now, first they used to say that all the doctors who have done 6 months posting, 3 months posting in obs gynae, they must have got some training, 25 MTPs training. But now for a gestational age up to 9 months, gestational age up to 9 weeks, sorry, there is an experience at any hospital, 3 months in practice of Vijay has independently performed 10 cases by medical abortion under supervision by an RMP in an established hospital. Now, in all these things, this is only one positive amendment where medical abortion has been, people have been given permission to do medical abortion with only training at 3 months or 10 cases of a medical abortion, which is done under supervision. Now, again, 12 weeks, the practitioner is there. 25 cases of MTP has been, at least 5 have been done independently in any hospital. And again, the degreed persons. 12 weeks to 20 weeks, the experience remains the same. The practitioner has to have a PG or a diploma in OBGYN or a 6 months house surgery and 1 year OBGYN residency. Now I'm really talking about the unfavorable points. Now this law does not allow abortion to be done after 24 weeks. After 24 weeks is allowed only when a medical board diagnoses substantial fetal anomaly. Now again, we have got 2 subsections against this, that the abortion or the pregnancy which occurs due to rape, many times it's not diagnosed till 22, 23 weeks of pregnancy. So that pregnancy which has crossed 24 weeks, this amendment is silent and nobody gives any decision on whether such pregnancies can be terminated or not. Fetal anomalies, they have just called substantial fetal anomalies. Again, there are no definitions saying what anomalies. Some people might say that a haath nahi hai balala, so they might not want a baby, but that is not a substantial fetal anomaly by a medical board. It is not a life, you can say dangerous to life. Only such anomalies are given permission after 24 weeks. But if you are giving permission for substantial fetal anomalies, then you must decide what are substantial fetal anomalies in this modern age. A person who is having a cleft lip, cleft palate, maybe not be able to talk, that anomalies are diagnosed after 24 weeks. Cardiac anomalies which are lethal, okay, they will sanction. But what about the non-lethal cardiac anomalies? That is not mentioned specifically. So this needs to be specifically deliberated on by our associations, that you have to give us a list saying, and that is exactly what Dr. Nikhil Datar has been putting. He has put 60 amendments to these amendments. So even that is under consideration as yet. So that is why I told you this talk is not for the gynecologist, because we all know we are coming across such cases every now and then, that there is an anomaly, but it is 25 weeks. So what to do? So we cannot do anything except by medical board. Now, this is certain category of women are beyond this, who will not be eligible for extended gestational period for MTP till 20 to 24 weeks. Again, you can see the reasons. Survivors of rape, sexual harassment has to be proved. A person cannot just say it is rape and I want an MTP. Between 20 to 24 weeks also, there are many limitations. So it has to be proved. Minors under POXO Act, that has to be proved. Again, that requires time. So 4 weeks gestation, which has increased, is not a very large amount of time, because court cases have to be taken up at a fast pace to prove this. Change of marital status, a divorce case is going on. The lady does not want this pregnancy. Will she get a permission at 22 weeks? नाही मिळत. Divorce papers आणा म्हणतात. They don't give a permission for MTP at 22 weeks if the lady does not want it. If the divorce process is going on, there is again, this is a dilemma. Fetal anomaly is not defined, I have told. Women with mental illnesses or physical disabilities, again, not specified. Which mental abilities, which mental illnesses are given permission from 20 to 24 weeks? Is there any specification? No. So again, these are dilemmas. Insertion of new cause, extremely deterrent for practicing doctors. And this new clause is the only thing which we should all fight against, because the regulation mentioned that information should not be disclosed except under authority of law. And who is the authority of law? Then if by suppose, these are the practical problems. If by suppose a patient comes for an MTP, you are supposed to do a hemogram, urine, sonography. You have to write the patient and send the patient for sonography. You over there, our suggestion is that to override such a rule, we say that you can do before signature for MTP. Don't get a sign of MTP first and then get all the investigations done and then put it as a, not to reveal the name of the patient on the papers. On any case paper, wherever she comes, the law says that there should be no name, address, age on the case papers. But many times if the patient requires general anesthesia, what is the option for us? We don't have any option. We have to disclose. So one or some other time, somebody is going to come under law, sir. And we have to know that these sort of clauses which are put in these amendments, they have to be rejected, or they have to be changed, they have to be opposed by us. So we should strongly oppose this part, because RMP needs a medico-legal protection for the breach of confidentiality. And confidentiality for breach, we can say, we have taken out an answer in our local discussions saying that we take a letter from the patient herself that I don't mind my name to be disclosed, or that I'm undergoing an abortion to be disclosed to my relative, that is my mother, father, husband, brother, whoever is going to sign for general anesthesia. So that is the way out we have found out. But still this sometimes will require a change of clause. Now the one more important thing is the composition of medical boards. Everybody knows, and we have got a recent most letter from BJ Medical College saying that the medical board for Sassoon General Hospital has been formed for this, for MTP sanctioning about 24 weeks. Who is in the medical board? A gynecologist, pediatrician, radiologist, head of the department of OBGY will become a chairman. One woman member is mandatory. Specialists from any other departments may also be included in the board. And one member from the government hospital. Any board member, if it is not available, then a chairman can suggest one more name. So what are the functions? Is to examine the woman, the reports, form an opinion in Form D, and to give a report within 3 days. The problem is how these 3 days are calculated. Suppose she's a borderline case, 24 weeks, 3 days less to 24 weeks. By the time 3 days are over, she can become 24 weeks plus 1 day. And again, the abortion can become illegal. To ensure that a termination process and advised by the board is carried out with all safety precautions along with counseling within 5 days of the receipt of request. So again, whether it is 5 working days or whether if there are many holidays in between, government holidays, then what is the answer for us? For the private practitioners, we keep on waiting. And many times still now patients are made to continue their pregnancy. I myself have sent 2 patients who were borderline, 23 weeks, 5 days pregnancy with, we cannot do anything because we have not got enough time to abort, to counsel, to get all the paperwork done. So we have to send them to some Srivatsa or some other where they grow the pregnancies. And we have then unwanted children born. To allow or deny termination of pregnancy beyond 24 weeks after due consideration is the power of the medical board. And this power, they should be utilizing it with proper jurisdiction, proper involvement. Then only these such pregnancies will not be continued. So this is the potential outcome. Now, what was the potential outcome of the amendment? This is the list of potential outcome of the amendments. That means what the government wants is increase in the privacy and confidentiality of the abortion seekers, increase in the access of unmarried women to safe and legal abortions, increase in the access of women to safe and legal abortion who often seek services beyond the legal limit with substantial fetal anomalies. Yes, increase in the number of facilities in public sectors like PHCs eligible for service provision to 20 weeks, and delay in termination of pregnancy due to court procedure should be overcome. That is the main outcome or the results which we want from these amendments. But what are the further more challenges? Suppose we have this MTP beyond 24 weeks. The baby comes out as a live baby. Patient refuses to accept these live babies. They may be malformed, they may not be malformed. But once born, it becomes a legal entity to a fundamental right of life. So how to start this ethical dilemma? Guidelines about the methods of termination with details of how to terminate the life of the fetus when it is his womb are necessary. These guidelines are not yet given by the government. What we recommend from Gynec societies and FOXY is that such babies after 24 weeks should be in utero dealt with and made an IUFD. And then it has to be brought out as a dead baby. Otherwise, this MTP beyond 24 weeks has got little meaning because it will add to the stillbirth number of the country. Fetus as is wished then comes out as a dead fetus. If it is more than 24 weeks, more than 500 grams, biomedical waste service providers also refuse to take that babies. So again, we need guidelines on this as to how we can dispose of these babies who are more than 24 weeks of gestation. If the babies come out alive, whether it should be taken as a stillbirth or not, and whether it has to be reported to the government. So again, the reporting system of this MTP should be guided properly. So again, I'm telling you the problems now, that these are the problems which we face, that the amendments fail to address the challenges. So this is the conclusion which not only we have drawn, but many legal internet sites have drawn these observations, that these amendments fail to address the challenges that were earlier sought to be covered under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Bill 2014. The vulnerable woman should have been given access to medical procedures from the earlier weeks of pregnancy for safer termination. We have to train all the medical personnel to prescribe the abortion pills safely so that we can have safe abortion at the doorsteps. And we have to do actual implementation of the amendments remains to be seen in the future. One more thing I will just add is the latest medical board formation is done under BJMC. And we have got now this form 2, which is there to fill up for gestational age more than 20 to 24 weeks. I think this is more than 24 weeks where we have to fill up all the details. And this is the newly formed MTP register, in which it was a 14-column register before. Now it is a 16-column register, which we have to fill on a daily basis. Every MTP you do, you have to fill up these 16 columns. So it's again a punishment to a gynecologist and obstetrician to fill up all these columns on every time you do a medical abortion, you do any simple 8 weeks, 6 weeks abortion, you have to fill up all these things. Thank you, sir, for your so thank you for our patient listening.
Thank you, Meenakshi. That was really a thought-provoking session, I would say. I do have few of the answers, but I won't take the time of, as a MTP committee member, I'll definitely. Yeah. So there are few answers. I would just add that still we have to consider very fortunate to be practicing and to be born in India, because if you are aware, just on 24th June 2022, US has banned medical termination of pregnancy. And yesterday only I've given one article for Lokmat on demand that pro-life, that's the concept, because the fetus does experience pain after 15 weeks. And that's why the activists have been successful in abandoning the law which was existing in US for last 50 years. And so we are still fortunate, though, of course, any new law, there will be amendments which are expected. And let's all work together for getting. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
तुम्ही सर करता काय म्हणजे असा प्रचार बहुतेक सगळ्या कंट्रीज मध्ये बहुतेक सगळ्या डेव्हलप कंट्रीज मध्ये एमटीपी इज अलाउड दॅट टू इन एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टन्सेस अप टू 12 वीक्स अप टू 8 वीक्स अप टू 9 वीक्स आपल्याकडे 20 आठवडे 24 आठवडे तरी आपण म्हणतोय वाढवायला पाहिजे आपल्याला काहीतरी बघायला पाहिजे की नाही नाही मला काय म्हणायचंय तुमचं 22 वीक्स आय एम नॉट आउटरॅक्टिंग लॉ इज लॉ पण हाऊ मच वी आर गोइंग टू एक्सटेंड इट अल्टिमेटली इज इट गुड फॉर द सोसायटी नाही नाही तसं नाहीये
नाही मला पण I don't agree.
I don't
really.
agree
Yes.
because at 22 weeks he was saying that who will authorize it is allowed. So that is not a question.
So having a board is always a better
There
option.
will be some problems. पण एक दिवस 2 दिवसाचं इतके दिवस तुम्ही तो पेशंट काय करत असतो हा मुद्दा आहे. तर इतकं 28 आठवडे ते केलं तरी कधीतरी थांबायला लागणार आहे. 32 आठवडे केले तरी थांबायला लागणार आहे. 40 आठवडे अरे मग पोस्ट मॅच्युअर होणार आहे. त्याला एंडलेस आहे. So we have got a good liberty. Already it is on the insistence of POGS or whatever, Foxy and all that, it has been extended 24. I said Samadhani raha tha.
Yeah, and sir, I would also add that most of the private practitioners, we write as failure of contraception. That is definitely a criticism. No, but then I've seen in most of the public health facilities, they're writing injury to the mental health of the woman. So under that, any patient can be covered, and that's how our law is very, very liberal. Yeah. So we have to really thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande, madam. So I will request Dr. Sanjay Patil sir and Dr. Naurange sir to come on the dais to felicitate madam. And chairperson join the felicitation. Aniket. Dr. Ashutosh Jape is busy with some other work, so he's not taking the topic of, he's not taking his talk on PCP NDT, anything new. So now we'll go for our last lecture, Facing Police Arrest and Warrants by Advocate Rohit Erande. So Dr. Rohit, sorry, sir. Advocate Rohit Erande is a specialist of civil law, practicing lawyer since 2004. Sir, come on the dais, please. I said doctor, that's why I said sorry. Author and member of Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. Is a lawyer, private practice, Pune since 2004. He's a practicing advocate with a focus on civil and family matters, property and land disputes, cooperative societies disputes, medical legal cases, consumer disputes, bank matters, charitable trust matters, and perceive criminal cases of check bouncing, consultants to many societies, apartments, associations related to redevelopment. So he's a BCom, LLB, LLM, and he says for me to stop. And he has delivered various lectures on different legal topics, and to name a few, he's authored a book of Veda Kaidyacha. Yes, sir. Veda Kaidyacha.
Thank you, madam. Namaskar. I thank IMA members again for inviting me after a gap of 2 years. The honorable dais, with the permission, I will start my last lecture. I will not take more time because already all the members are listening to various luminaries on the dais. The topic given to me is of very utmost importance, facing police arrest warrants and wrong sections. Now, it will not be an O statement on my behalf that every doctor nowadays fear that something will go wrong and he or she may suffer police arrest. And main sections, those are always imposed upon doctors. This section 304 part 2 of IPC and section 304A. Now, so I'll be covering these two important sections because these are the sections under which most of the time the arrests of doctors are initiated at the hands of the police authorities. Now, section 304 part 2, ज्याला मराठीमध्ये मृत्यू झालाय पण खून नाही असं मी अगदी सोप्या शब्दात सांगेन. मीन्स every murder is a culpable homicide, but every culpable homicide is not a murder. So this difference, is of utmost importance. And part 2 of section 304 is applied in case of doctor when there is a death in case of medical negligence. So the punishment which has been provided for is of 10 years. And so that becomes a non-bailable and cognizable offense. And see, for it is the prerogative of police authorities to write a section in an FIR. You cannot question why police authorities thought that it is a case of 304 part 2 and not 304A. This is the prerogative given by law to the police authorities. And therefore, see, unfortunately, I cannot comment anything upon that how police authorities mention the particular section, and then it becomes the predicament for the doctors to go for the legal remedy. Now, suppose section 304 part 2 is imposed, then that becomes a non-bailable offense. So you have to go for anticipatory bail. It is your right. If the anticipatory bail is rejected, then the only remedy is to approach the Honorable High Court. And if it is not, then again to the Supreme Court. But most of the times, practically what we see is that anticipatory bail is granted. If not granted by Sessions Court, then High Court generally grants anticipatory bail in 304 part 2. Now, I think doctor is the only profession for whom a separate guidelines have been framed by the Honorable Apex Court for before making any arrest. Because no other profession is directly involved with the life of any person. I think the doctor's profession is the only profession. Now, previously what used to happen is that police यायचे कोणाला उचलून घेऊन जायचे असे प्रकार खूप व्हायला लागले. So first decision, as we all know, of Jacob Matthew versus State of Punjab, the 2005 celebrated judgment of Apex Court, 3 judges bench judgment, which has given numerous guidelines as to before making arrest of a doctor. But that judgment was applicable in 304A. So where the 304A is applied, then that is a already bailable offense and punishment is of 2 years. But what happens? Section 304 part 2 is applied. Then recently, I would say, in 2014, a constitutional bench was constituted, and it is a famous case of Lalita Kumari versus Union of India. And in that particular case, Honorable Apex Court has given the guidelines, and I will just read the important linings, because specifically they have mentioned the medical profession in their entire. This is I think 300-400 pages judgment, but they have specifically made observations about the medical profession. What it says that although we in unequivocal terms we hold that section of 1 exchange open of code postulates the mandatory registration of FIRs, yet there may be instances where preliminary inquiry may be required owing to the change in genesis and novelty of crimes and passage of time. One such instance is in case of allegations relating to medical negligence on part of doctors. It will be unfair and inequitable to prosecute a medical profession only on the basis of allegations of the complaint. So this judgment covers section 304 part 2 as well as 304A. So whenever a case is registered against a doctor at that there is a death of a patient in a hospital or in a clinic or like that, then this judgment will come into play, and which postulates that a preliminary inquiry is mandatory. The protection to doctor under 304A was there since 2005, but from 2014, I would say that even if a case is registered of 304 part 2, culpable homicide not amounting to murder, in that case also now doctors are protected by this celebrated judgment. Now, coming to section 304 part 2. Generally, I have seen that this section is applied whenever there is a death in a hospital and the allegations of medical negligence are made. Now, two important aspects or two important ingredients have to be seen, and the burden lies on the prosecution to prove that. And what are the ingredients of 304A? First is mens rea, that is guilty mind, that is the criminal intention of the doctor. And second is gross negligence. The word gross has been used by the 3 judges bench in Jacob Matthews case. The word gross has not been used in IPC, but they themselves have carved out this exception that negligence has to be so gross, of so high nature, that otherwise doctor should be held negligent. So what could be the instances of gross negligence? उजव्या हाताच्या ऐवजी डाव्या हाताची सर्जरी केली, or leaving a mop in the abdomen. See, these are the I would say instances of gross negligence where you cannot give any excuse ki mala mahitच नव्हतं or like that. But otherwise, in all cases, the intention of the doctors is always there to save a life. I don't see there is any doctor who has an intention in mind that his or her patient should die on the table. This is not so. The intention part is not considered while considering the case of damages in civil court. Because see, as you are all are aware that in any such criminal negligence cases or medical negligence cases, the patient has right to file a civil case for damages as well as to register a case with police. So it is the prerogative, and both the cases go simultaneously. And what may be negligent in civil cases may not necessarily negligent in criminal law, and vice versa. So therefore, word gross has been used in section 304 part 2. Now, in Jacob Matthews judgment, as you all are aware, that suppose 304A is applied, then the doctor's arrest should not be made as of a right, merely because an FIR has been registered. What Honorable Apex Court has held, that unless and until a private doctor gives an opinion in writing that the case falls under the section 304A, or the credible opinion is given that the charges are true, then only a case has to be registered. So this is the first and basic requirement, which I don't know whether police follow it or not. Second, it is good if police are following, then it is very good for you. Yeah. These requirements postulate that even before registering a case, once the case is registered, again what Honorable Apex Court has held, that the matter should be referred to the expert committee of the general hospital. So there are two expert opinions are necessary. First, before registering the FIR. After registering the FIR, also the matter has to be referred to the expert board of the, say in case, Sassoon General Hospital. And the wording used by Honorable Apex Court is important, that a doctor accused of rashness or negligence may not be arrested in a routine manner simply because a level 4 जजनी level म्हणजे हातकाड्या घालून न्यायचं आणि हे जे प्रकार होऊ शकतात, all these things should be avoided and police cannot do it. Now, remedy under section 304 part 304A is since it is a bailable offense, you get a bail as of a right, and only thing the court may impose certain conditions upon you, that you should not leave this country without taking the permission or like that. But there cannot be any restriction that you cannot practice only. I think earlier one of the lecture it was being said that a doctor may be put on hold, that you cannot practice at all. But in 304A, the court normally never imposes such a condition. Now the subsequent part is that removal of a wrong charge. Because see, as I already told, that it is the prerogative of police authorities to first add the section in FIR. Once the case is registered, once the case is being heard by the magistrate, then magistrates had right even before the delivery of final judgment to amend, alter, or to delete the charge. So suppose 304 part 2 is applied, that culpable homicide not amounting to murder, but the magistrate thinks that no, this is not the case under that section, but it at the most can be said that the case is of 304A. Then the charge can be amended, and this is the prerogative of the magistrate. Even if whatever section police put in an FIR, ultimately the deciding authority is that of a magistrate. Now, another part of my lecture or the topic given to me is warrant. The name warrant itself is, very dreadful. Warrant ale. So now warrant is of 2-3 types. First warrant is a bailable or non-bailable. Warrant is generally issued to secure the presence of the doctor. I'm not saying that doctor, I would say that the presence of an accused. So suppose accused doesn't remain present in 1 or 2 cases, because in criminal matters, accused has to remain present on each and every date unless the exemption has been granted by the court. In civil case, a defendant or for that matter, even a plaintiff need not remain present on each and every date, only when his presence is required. So suppose an accused doctor fails to remain present one particular day, then a court issues bailable warrant. That so the police authority, because all the warrants are enforced by the police authorities, police will come to you, they will say that sahib warrant ale chala. Then you have to go to the court. The warrant, bailable warrant, as the name indicates, itself is a bailable. It gets cancelled the moment you furnish the bail or deposit the cash security in the court. Suppose in spite of issuance of bailable or warrant, the accused goes on remaining absent in the court, then the non-bailable warrant is issued by the court. And non-bailable, as the name indicates, it is non-bailable. So you have to show the very just and sufficient reasons to the court that why you couldn't remain present. Otherwise, if the non-bailable warrant is not cancelled, then you can become the guest of the government. So non-bailable warrant generally is issued to the habitual offenders that who see that they don't want to remain present. Another kind of warrant is issued, as we call it, a witness warrant. And in some civil cases, we call it a witness summons or witness warrant. Witness summons is, you all are aware that being the expert of medicine, you may be called to give a testimony in the court. So a summons is issued to the doctor that you please come to the court and depose on these particular points. If in spite of issuance of evidence, this particular summons, if doctor fails to remain present, then a warrant may be issued. But again, the same procedure, you can get warrant cancelled. Now, coming back to the 2-3 important points, as Dr. Meenakshi Madam has just narrated the newly amended PCPNDT Act. See, there are 2-3 acts, I would say, that where a doctor may face an arrest. MTP Act is there, that suppose if there is any breach of any provision, the maximum punishment is provided is of 2 years. So again, that is a bailable offense. And there is another important legislation nowadays, which is often, we must be reading news in newspaper, of POSCO Act, that it is a mandatory duty of any doctor. Suppose any girl of minor age comes to the doctor and says that she has undergone the particular offenses under POSCO Act, then it is mandatory duty of the doctor firstly to report to the police. If there is failure on part of doctor, then this is a punishable offense with fine and or 6 months imprisonment. So again, this is a bailable offense, but you should keep in mind that suppose if someone comes, because I know one psychiatrist that one patient came to her and lately he came to know that she is of a minor age, because I think 2-3 gynecologists also mentioned these incidences that they have to believe whatever documents shown to them by the patient. They were fabricated documents. The Aadhaar card was fabricated. So she was shown that she is of major age, but in future it turned out that she was just 16 years of age. But ultimately the police authorities called an explanation from the doctors, and they have to show that, see, look, this is the document given to me. So see, it is not the duty of the doctor to see that whether the Aadhaar card is genuine or not. Whatever, but again, I would say that documentation is of utmost importance. Poor record is poor defense, no record is no defense. And whatever we see in most of the times in the court, that whatever morally we know that the doctor has done nothing, but the documents speak otherwise. So there is no escape in keeping proper documentation. And I would say that जेव्हा वेळ येते तेव्हा त्याचं महत्व कळतं. So most of the times we see that काय करायचंय, consent घेताना सुद्धा, थोडं विषयांतर सांगतो, consent घेताना सुद्धा I have seen that the sister or the ward boy is taking the consent without explaining what is exactly the procedure is. I have seen in my own case. So I told the doctor what you are doing. But ultimately, see, he was knowing that I was not going to do any case, but it's not like everybody will be like mine. So I'm just telling you that त्याला काही पर्याय नाही चांगला रेकॉर्ड ठेवण्याला आणि तुम्ही ते जरूर ठेवत जा. And lastly, the important right of all the doctors, which I have seen that till today, none of the doctors have exercised. That is suing for malicious prosecution. See, it is everybody's right to go to the court. So patient has right to file a case against you. The state has right to file a case against a doctor. But once the case is decided on merits, you have been acquitted on merit, then you have every right to file a suit for malicious damages for malicious prosecution, but that has to be filed within 1 year from the date of judgment. But whenever we advise this particular thing to doctors, they say, "Atta एवढं झंझट संपले आता परत कशाला?" See, but there is none of you, I would say, that has set a trend that yes, तुम्ही जर मला छळलात तर मी पण तुम्हाला तेवढाच त्रास देईन किंवा तेवढाच तुमच्या विरुद्ध केस करीन. But nobody does that. So my request is that at least issue a notice, because see, whenever a legal notice is issued, it has got more implications than a private letter being sent by a normal person. So that's it for my lecture, and thank you very much for listening me patiently. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or नहीं नहीं.
Before you put an FIR. Absolutely right. It many times happens that people come to IMA, our members come to IMA, and we feel that we should give a medical opinion. कारण काय होतं मी सांगतो की हे जे ओपिनियन आता त्याच वर्डिंग असं आहे, preferably from government doctor. It is not mandatory that they must be taking from government doctors. तिथे बसलेली जी मंडळी असतात ना, त्याच्यामध्ये दोन भाग आहेत. एक म्हणजे टीचिंग इन्स्टिट्यूट. So there's a peripherally of people working under them. And what we are facing in small nursing homes, 1 or 2 persons at that spur of the moment you have taken an accurate decision. तर आपल्या डिफिकल्टीज त्यांच्या पूर्णपणे कळतातच असं नाही. सो फार दे हॅव बीन व्हेरी फेअर, पण तसं होऊ शकतं. सपोजिंग आणि आपण म्हणाल तसं मला बाळकेने मगाशी सांगितलं की दे शुड गिव्ह इन क्लिअर वर्डिंग वेदर देर वॉज अ ग्रॉस नेग्लिजन्स. इन्स्टेड दे से कन्सेंटवर सही दिसत नाही, टाइम अँड डेट टाकलेलं नाही, हे असं केलं असं, दिस इज नॉट आस्क्ड, बट दे राईट इट लाईक दिस. त्यामुळे काय होतं की काहीतरी वेगळं लिहिलं म्हटल्यानंतर लगेच द पोलीस इंटरप्रिटेड ॲज निग्लिजन्स आणि इमिजिएटली अटक होऊन, आपल्याला फेमस केस माहिती आहे हडपसरची, त्याच्यामध्ये 6 डॉक्टर्सना अरेस्ट होऊन 3 दिवस आत पडलेले होते. सो ऍक्च्युअली दे हॅड डन ऑल द एफर्ट्स. 70 इंजेक्शन दिली म्हणजेच मारायचा प्रयत्न केला, सो उलट इंटरप्रिटेशन केलं. सो व्हॉट वी डिसाइडेड की इफ द पर्सन डॉक्टर कम्स टू अस, वी विल गिव्ह अन एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन फ्रॉम पीपल इन दॅट फील्ड. त्यामुळे त्यांना पण विचार करावा लागेल पुढचं लिहिताना. असं एक आम्हाला वाटतं हे कितपत संयुक्तिक ठरेल लिगली, कारण वी हॅव एव्हरी राईट टू गिव्ह अवर ओपिनियन.
सी ते तुम्ही त्यातले एक्सपर्ट आहात
आणि इट हॅज कम टू अ रेकॉग्नाइज बॉडी. आता समजा पिडियाट्रिक केस पिडियाट्रिशियन्स आम्ही नेमू, कार्डिओव्हास्क्युलर सर्जन असला कार्डिओव्हास्क्युलर सर्जनची टीम नेमू. आमच्याकडे सर्वच मेंबर आहेत आणि दे आर रेडी टू टेस्टिफाय इन द कोर्ट.
बरोबर, पण मला वाटतं तुम्ही हे केलं पाहिजे. आणि
थोडं प्रेशर येईल त्यांच्यावरती त्यांना ओपिनियन देताना की आपण काय ओपिनियन देतोय.
आणि कसं आहे, डॉक्टरांना जो सपोर्ट पाहिजे असतो त्यांच्या फ्रॅटर्निटीकडनं, तो जर मिळाला तर तो गरजेचा आहे. तुम्ही देताच नेहमी. अँड देर आर केसेस वेअर देर आर कॉन्ट्ररी ओपिनियन्स. Ultimately it is an opinion and it is never binding on the court. So there are cases where national commissions have rejected the opinion against the doctor.
Yes.
And another relied upon second opinion. So but as you have rightly pointed out, you should you on your own form a body and give the opinion.
दुसरं सर आम्ही सुरू केलं म्हणजे हे करतोच पहिल्यापासून की when there is a legal notice or whenever the such type of letters are sent by the patients, the last clause we always put in, we are ready to explain to you whatever allegations or wrong conceptions you have, and we are ready to explain to you in presence of any body of experts of your choice. But in spite of this, you go on persisting with the unnecessary litigation. We reserve our right to approach the appropriate forum for compensation. हे आपण टाकतेच.
बरोबर. हे अजून एक सांगेन की बरेच लोक नोटीस आली, कोर्टाचं समन्स आलं, काही आलं की ते घ्यायची टाळाटाळ करतात. यू शुड नेव्हर डू दॅट. यू शुड accept whatever notice has been sent to you, whatever summons has been sent to you. Otherwise, you will never come to know what the other side is going to say. And merely saying no or not claiming the notice, that does not mean that the case is going to fall. Thank you. Thank you.
Big round of applause for all the speakers. All the sessions were excellent, and I'm sure so many take-home messages and wisdom added to our practice.
Yes. Yes. Just we are seeing, we are checking that questions. Sir, आता तुमच्यापैकी तुम्हाला काही क्वेश्चन असेल तर आपण विचारूया. हॅलो, नाही येत ना क्वेश्चन, नाही येत इथे सेम ना. या दिस ना ऑनलाईन प्रिस्क्रिप्शन्स ते सकाळीच त्यांनी सांगितले, ते सकाळी झालं सकाळी ते. Yes. So I request Dr. Meenakshi Deshpande madam to come on the dais and felicitate our speaker, Advocate Rohit Airande and Chairperson to join. We will felicitate our chairpersons, Dr. Chandrasekhar Karve. I request all for a group photo. Yeah, come everyone for the group photo. And I will do the last job of my connecting. Adi photo? On 31st of July. Yeah, please come on 31st July. In the morning, I told you about the Brahma Kumari's session. So it is free. We will be sending the flyers. Register. Yeah, and registration is free. So you can come and join. Transport is not free. You can come of your own way with your own vehicle or any vehicle. No. Everyone will come. Yeah, delegates पण येऊ देत ना. Yeah. काय खरं नाही अनुराधा. Thank you. Vote of thanks मध्ये मला thanks म्हणायचं की for all the speakers, delegates and our catering was looked after by Vaishnavi Caterers for delicious food. And I thank our Sonu Enterprises, Mr. Sunil Miraskar for showing us audio visual, and Mr. Deepen and his team for technical support. Thank you. And Apex Insurance for झालं सर. आणि ते दुसरं टेक्निक्स कंपनी होती, त्यांनी पण आपल्याला टॉक टाइम दिलेला आहे. सो थँक्यू एव्हरीवन. Yes.
And today one and the only one secretary today doing the whole job from morning to evening. So thank you, Dr. Alka. And this thing bouquet for her.
No. Okay. Yes. No. It's my duty. It's my duty. I enjoy, sir. Sir, I enjoy. Yeah. Sir, it is my duty, and I always enjoy. Sir, I always enjoy.
It's really a word of pat and appreciation for you, Alka.
From morning to evening.
आमच्या तिघींचं थांब आरती निमकर
आरती आणि अनुराधा.
पंचकन्या.